Broadcasting live from the Business RadioX studios in Denver, Colorado, it's time for Franchise Bible Coach Radio. Now, here are your hosts.
All right, everybody. Welcome to Franchise Bible Coach Radio podcast with Rick and Rob. I'm Rick Grossman, and I'll introduce my co-host Rob Ganley here in just a second. But we're excited today, folks. We have Zac Blue. He's a franchise owner in Wichita, Kansas. Is that right, Zac?
Yes, sir.
Yes, for Buffalo Wings and Rings, correct?
Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, thank you for joining us today, Zac. Recently we launched an initiative called the Fight for Your Franchise Challenge, and we're kind of doing this in conjunction with Entrepreneur and Entrepreneur.com and franchise brands and franchise owners around the world to really help everybody get through this time. It's the world's changed quite a bit, hasn't it? And so what we're trying to do now is focus on positive things and strategies and techniques and ways we can help people get through this time. So we appreciate your time today, Zac, and we know that one of the things that we've seen with franchise owners is innovation and new ideas and new ways of dealing with this crisis and ways to serve customers and their employees. So we'd love to hear more about that. So I'm going to introduce my co-host, Rob Ganley, and let him jump into some questions with you. Rob?
How are you? It's good to be here, Rick. I appreciate that. Zac, welcome. I appreciate you. But before we jump into some of the current events of today, maybe you could tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got involved with the concept and the brand, how you started.
Well, my background is actually in finance and real estate, and I had some land in Augusta, Kansas, which is close to Wichita, and I was looking for a concept and an operating partner to do on that 2 acres of land. And I went through dozens of different brands and wound up landing on Buffalo Wings and Rings primarily because of the culture, the franchisor, and the support that they were offering.
That's wonderful. Can you give us a little brief history on how long you've been with the brand and how it's been growing over recent years?
I started with the brand back in 2016, and I actually just opened my first restaurant in 2018, in August of 2018. As far as the growth is concerned, they're doing a good job opening up new units in mostly East Coast. But for the most part, they're very focused on the profitability of the existing restaurants and not just growth, which I think is very important for a franchisor, especially an emerging franchisor, because we're fairly small with 50 to 60 units.
Wonderful. And how many staff do you have on a normal shift?
Currently?
Yeah, well, before. Let's start with before, and then we'll look at currently, yeah.
We typically have about 50 to 70 total just on payroll, and a normal shift we'll have anywhere probably about 30 of those.
Wow.
In the building.
And how big's the restaurant?
It's about 6,000 square feet.
Wow. Okay, great. That sounds good.
Well,
all right.
That's a pretty good segue, actually. And so here we are in late April of 2020. And so I guess the big question for you, Zac, is how is your operation dealing with the coronavirus outbreak? And how is that related to the brand? And what are they doing in conjunction with you as well?
Well, here in Sedgwick County in Kansas, we are closed down. All dining rooms are shut down, and they've enforced in all the state of Kansas the maximum grouping of 10 people. And we're still under a stay-at-home order that's set to expire on May 3rd. But as of right now, we have been doing takeout and curbside as well as delivery through third-party providers. And, it's slow. It's obviously our volume's down anywhere from 70 to 80% sometimes, but it has kept us, given me the ability to keep some of the staff on, as well as starting to rehire, hoping that reopening is coming here within the next week or so.
Nice. And have you been able to see an increase in that category sales of delivery and pickup? I'm sure by marketing in such a way to your customer base and so forth. most restaurants report that their pickup and deliveries are 10 or 15%, maybe 20% of revenue. Have you seen that that's been able to, it'll never compensate completely, but at least it'll take a bit of a upward trajectory?
Well, percentage-wise, it's 100% now. So, percentage-wise, as far as the takeout and the delivery go. But as far as our overall order volume, it has increased. I would say we're probably at twice what we would normally do in terms of just carry out and delivery. But it definitely does not make up for the lack of the in-house dining. Right.
And do you think that after this is all said and done, are you forecasting that, of course, you're going to get back to your normal in-room dining, but then you'll also have maybe a bigger portion of that delivery and pickup?
I hope so. I hope that continues on that upward trajectory. We're very new. Like I said, we opened in August of 2018. We're the only restaurant of the brand here in Kansas. So as far as just brand recognition and everything, we're kind of, it's taking a while to catch on. But we have seen that uptick, and, it's slowly getting better as far as just overall the area recognizing who we are and what we do.
Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit about, when this first happened, did you gather the troops? A couple of weeks ago, our coaching focus was building your tribe and getting all of your team members around and, helping innovate and come up with solutions. When this first started happening, did you gather your team and start figuring out and brainstorming ways to do it and getting together with your franchisor? And can you kind of take us through what you experienced and how you came to, kind of stabilizing things as best you could?
Honestly, the way it happened here, it was just a gradual decline in sales overall. You tell that people weren't leaving the house. They weren't going anywhere. So as far as I hadn't laid anyone off, I just kept the course and was trying to keep everybody, pretty much everything normal, until it got to the point to where we had so few people in the store that it was better for my team and my employees to lay them off so that they could get unemployment benefits. And that's really what happened. We got to that tipping point to where the servers weren't making any money, and it was just, it was better for them from a monetary standpoint to be able to lay them off. So we did a large layoff, and they were better off because they could get the unemployment benefits. We kept enough staff to run the to-go and the curbside and the takeout and all that. But for the most part, it's a skeleton staff. And with the way unemployment's going, honestly, most of them are making more money on unemployment than they probably would have if they were to have continued working. So my layoff decisions were based on my employees' well-being, if that makes sense, rather than the need of the store to save money.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Really makes sense. So that's an important point with your internal staff and employees. How do you see this affecting the community and your current customers, or even the future customers that you want to continue to reach? How do you think this will impact the restaurant business in general, and obviously your brand?
Honestly, I'm hoping that once the stay-at-home order is lifted and everybody kind of gets back to normal, I do think that these last couple week periods, we've done a lot as far as community outreach and interaction with the community. I think it's given me the opportunity to focus on that and really drive the marketing aspects of this brand, because before I was kind of busy with the in-house stuff. But we even went to selling groceries. And I have grocery packs that we put together because my wife and I were having trouble finding groceries. As far as ground beef and eggs and milk, the grocery stores just didn't have them. So I had asked a Facebook group that I'm in, basically, would this be something that anybody is interested in? Because I have access to massive amounts of ground beef and eggs and milk, and I could package them and sell them. Bread was another thing that you couldn't find. So within about 3 hours, I had about 400 comments and over 1,000 likes. There was a huge, overwhelming response, and it was incredibly positive. So as far as, just trying to identify things that can help the community as well as help the restaurant, that's really been my focus for the past couple of weeks. And I do think that it will wind up getting us a better brand recognition and better name recognition out there, because we've just reached so many more people that had never even heard of us or had never thought about coming to us that are doing so now.
Yeah, we had a great interview a few weeks back with the editor-in-chief of Entrepreneur Magazine, and one of his points was that you were valuable before all of this happened, and that value continues on, right? Even in this metamorphosis, this interim period, and what a great thing to have done, honestly, Zach. I can't think of a better thing that you could have done for your business in the future than what you did on Facebook. Because ultimately, I don't think those folks will ever forget your name. So, and I'm sure all of them would feel the need to come by at some point in the future and enjoy some food with you. But that is an amazing story. And when you look at it from that perspective, is there any ideas that have been sort of sparked in your mind about how to do things differently, or package things up, sell things differently, add a new service to your current repertoire? Is there anything in your mind right now thinking, man, we could probably keep doing this, or maybe this will be a separate thing that we continue to do? I mean, is anything like that happening?
As far as just the overall processes that we've developed throughout the past few weeks, as far as streamlining our carryout and our takeout, we're using tamper-proof third-party delivery bags, which are in very high demand right now. People want to know that their food hasn't been touched. That's something that we will continue to use, just because I think this whole thing has just altered consumers' view of everything in terms of making it safer. And there are also a lot of things that we're able to do now that we will not be able to do after the bans are lifted, in terms of curbside alcohol. We were just allowed to sell curbside mixed drinks, as well as we can fill growlers from the tap. That kind of thing it was the law that was altered. The statutes were changed. So once everything goes back to normal, that'll be changed, and we'll have to kind of roll that back. But as far as our overall handling of the carryout and the third-party delivery, I think we'll continue with that, as well as just things like, I don't know, maybe servers continue to wear gloves, and who knows about masks. It just really depends on consumer preference and kind of what they're telling us they need to see to patronize a restaurant.
Yeah, we saw that one of the common denominators with our clients and the folks that we're interviewing and the franchise owners and franchisors, of course, the common denominator is that the big focus after this pandemic settles down is that the customer has to feel safe, and they have to have a high level of trust. And so the things you're doing there to make the consumer feel that is obviously going to pay off in the long run. So that's great. Did you, how about the community? One of the things we're seeing is people feel a little isolated naturally, because most people are working from home or limited to very little interaction with the outside world. We're encouraging people to participate in our franchise, Fight for Your Franchise and Franchise Bible Coach group on Facebook, and just a way to keep in touch with each other. And I know a lot of franchisors and franchise owners are doing that as well. Is there anything that your franchisor has done to inspire any kind of communication with your franchise community, or is there anything you've done internally to do that, to keep the communication going?
We have weekly calls every Wednesday, and it used to be a marketing call. Now it's a COVID call that all of the franchisors, as well, or all of the franchisees, as well as most of our GMs and management staff, are on that call. And it's one of those things you talk about, operational aspects of things, what's worked, what hasn't worked. And then there's a lot of, can we do this? Can we do that? The franchisor has also done a great job, Buffalo Wings and Rings corporate. They've got a virtual happy hour now every Thursday at 4:00 Eastern on Facebook, to where, and they're doing trivia. It's had a great response. People just sit at home and have a beer and interact with everybody virtually. So
awesome.
That's doing a good job of keeping everybody in touch and in contact.
Oh, good. That sounds like they're doing a great job. Sounds like you got a good community there.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
No doubt. That's really interesting. I mean, that's one thing. If you could take something positive from this experience for all of us, is I think there's just a lot more interaction across the board with everybody. People are smiling more, they're waving more, my neighbors, the folks I see in cars. It just seems like everybody is wanting that interaction. And it's not a bad thing to see that. Hopefully all of us will take some of this experience and maybe do some unique things in the future anyway. So now let me ask you, Zac, is there any changes in how do you see this rolling out and impacting your business plans, right? You said that you are a multi-unit owner, but only have one unit open today. How do you see this impacting that process for you?
Honestly, just timing for the most part. Everything got kind of put on hold. There were some restaurants around here that opened up during this pandemic, which I'm very lucky that I wasn't one of those. But really, before we build new units and continue to expand, we got to figure out how this is going to affect us in the long run. Just in terms of, is it going to affect consumer behavior? Are they going to go out as much? Are they going to go out more because they weren't allowed to go out for a month? And it's one of those things that you just got to I'm interested to see how it plays out before I really, commit to more restaurants. I've already committed and I plan on doing other restaurants. It's just kind of a matter of what those restaurants look like. And, dining out is always going to be a thing. People are always going to go to restaurants and eat out, but is it going to shift it more towards to go? Do we need as large of a footprint or do we need as many staff? I mean, it's one of those things that you just really can't know until you see how this is going to affect everything.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And we're seeing that across the board that people are kind of moving forward with caution. We do hear from all the experts that we're anticipating that people will be ready to get out and that we should see a boom of activity once people feel safe. And that's really the key. It sounds like you guys are on the right track with that. Have you done any community outreach to your customer list as far as other than marketing, but just any kind of community outreach or communication with them that's unique and different?
Just in terms of the groceries, that was one of those things that we were doing mainly for community purposes. It wasn't something, it helps with sales, but it wasn't anything that was going to make a ton of money off of. It was just something that we were able to do with our access to our food vendors and that kind of stuff. And as far as I think all of the restaurants in the nation ran into this issue when this first happened, we had a lot of inventory that was either going to go in the trash or it was, you had to do something with it. And we just physically could not cook 300 pounds of fresh chicken. I mean, we could cook it, we couldn't do anything with it. So we've donated probably 400 pounds of meat to local shelters or stuff like that. So, and they're always very appreciative of that. And it's one of those things I'd much rather give it to someone who can use it than throw it in the trash. Oh,
that's great. But the $1 million question is, can you get toilet paper and hand sanitizer?
Yes and no. Get hand sanitizer, I still cannot.
Yeah, we don't want to put that out there. You might get overrun with calls.
That was part of my grocery packs. Everything came with at least 2 rolls of toilet paper, up to 10 rolls of toilet paper. So.
Wow,
there you
nice.
Go.
Way to go! And that does build loyalty. It builds a lot of trust that'll pay off in the future. So very good.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. So as we wrap up, Zac, is there anything you could share with future or current entrepreneurs, franchisees, or even local business owners in your market where you live? Any nugget, any wisdom, anything you've experienced or learned that you would want to share with anyone? Anything to leave the audience with?
Primarily, take care of your people. And that's always been a big thing for me as far as, making sure that everybody that is working for you wants to work for you. And we've had a very good group of people that we've been able to keep, as well as the ones who we unfortunately had to lay off, but did so that they could actually get some money and pay their bills. And I talk to a lot of them daily as far as, when can we reopen? When can we come back? I'll never complain about working again, that kind of stuff. So we've got a lot of people just waiting to come back, and whereas I think sometimes it's difficult to get people back, especially when they're making more money on unemployment. But I think the coherent team and the working together is huge, especially in a time like this where you're together 12 hours a day with the same people over and over again. You don't have that interaction with a lot of the other employees because they're at home. But the ones that have stuck around and are looking to come back have been huge for us.
That's awesome. That's a great story.
Wonderful. Awesome. Well, Zac, as we're getting close to wrapping up here, and you're one of the soldiers on the front line of this fight, and we do appreciate your insights and ideas, and most importantly, I think you've given us some gold nuggets of inspiration. A lot of entrepreneurs, business owners are out there today that are struggling, and we found, as coaches, we find that one of the things that really keeps people in the fight is believing they can succeed and believing there's hope. And so your words are inspirational and offer hope to folks. I've had people email me since we've started this and said, I was contemplating closing down, but when I got your emails and found that all these great tips from all these entrepreneurs and people that were in the same boat or in the same storm, at least, that it was helping them, keep the fight going. And so we say, fight the good fight. And we know that there in Wichita, Kansas, you are fighting the good fight and innovating and creating new ways of doing business that will pay off for you and for your community as well. So we thank you for that. Anything else, Rob, you want to cover before we let Zac go?
No, I appreciate your time, Zac. I appreciate you sharing, where you're at and what's going on over there. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, Zac. Well, everybody, thank you for joining us for Franchise Bible Coach Radio with Rick and Rob. And you can learn more about the Fight for Your Franchise Challenge. Once again, it's a free program, just a way for us to give back to the industry that we love. So franchisors, franchise owners, team members can all participate by just filling in your email. And then every Monday you'll receive an email in your inbox that will give you access to great interviews like this on the podcast, as well as coaching sessions and articles and other resources. And please join our Franchise Bible Coach Facebook community, where we can share ideas, ask questions, and help you get through this time. So thank you, Zac. We appreciate you, and we appreciate what you've done for your business and for your staff and everything you're doing out there in Wichita.
Yep. Thanks for the opportunity. I appreciate it.
All right. Thank you, everybody. This is Rick and Rob signing off for Franchise Bible Coach Radio. Bye-bye, everybody.